Good evening. The time is now 6:30 p.m. I'm Chairwoman. Well, good evening. The time is now 6:30 p.m. I'm Chairwoman Jacqueline Macumber, and I would like to call this advisory meeting to order on this date, January 29th, 2026. At this time, I ask you to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Templeton Advisory Committee regular business meeting is being broadcast live on TC TV Channel 8 and TC TV YouTube channel. Responses will be made to comments in the TC TV YouTube channel as time permits. The agenda and meeting materials for this business meeting were posted to mytowngovernment.org/01468 no later than 48 hours prior to the scheduled meeting in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts open meeting laws. The chair reserves the right to add items to, remove items from, or change the order of the agenda. However, the agenda is posted in advance to give the committee and public time to review the agenda items and to ensure that the meeting runs within the allotted time frame. At this time, I ask that everybody please silence their phones. Next on the agenda is review and approval of meeting minutes from November 4th, 2025.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the November 4th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Anybody have any further comments or complaints? No? All right. April, how do you vote?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Liz?
Yep.
And I vote yes. That passes. And next up is the November 20th, 2025 meeting minutes.
And I'll make the motion that we approve the meeting minutes for November 20th, 2025.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions, comments? No? April, how do you vote?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
April, Liz?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. All right, moving along to number 5, public comments. Crickets from the audience. Everybody
Hey,
else?
everybody, I'm Miranda Pajanos.
Yes, thank you for coming out on this cold Thursday. All right, moving in, number 6, new business. Review of the advisory committee description from the town bylaw. I thought we would bring this to our attention because we're getting into a very busy time. It's budget season, and we want to make sure we're on track for whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing here on these Thursday meetings. I did look at the bylaws from, well, really only Westminster, and we have more written on ours. So it doesn't really say exactly what our jobs specifically are. The Westminster one has like a section that's literally the duties of what their town advisory committee is supposed to do. These just kind of say like that, you know, we review the warrant articles, that we have access to information and meetings and the annual reports. So since we're moving into budget season, I kind of want to dial back because you've been on advisory committee before and Noel's been here before, but April, since it's budget season, we're getting into like very busy meetings. We have the Saturday meeting, which bring a comfortable cushion because it's a lot of hours here. And then there's next week, we have the meeting at the Kiva for the school committee. So I think this will also tie into the meeting dates and the joint meetings that I have listed. I kind of changed the calendar around a little bit to like lessen our load for March because we already have the budget Saturday, and then there'll be a joint meeting where the school committee comes in and gives their numbers. So I was going to cancel regular business for that. But I just wanted everybody to focus in on like now we really need to hone all of our attention into the budget, and hopefully the budget book is out soon and we can start rolling into that. Anybody have anything they want to comment on that? I don't know if like at some point we would like to change what's written in the bylaw or make a request to what's written in the bylaw, because the only thing that I really liked about the Westminster one was that it said that all advisory committee members would have access to the warrants and any wait a minute. Have free access to all books of the accounts, books of record, and all accounts, bills, and vouchers on which money has been or may be paid from the town treasury. And I know you've had issues in the past with FOIA requests and
Yes.
people wanting to, like, charge you for those type of things. So I don't know how we would go about like updating or editing, and I'm sure it's like the window is closed or I don't know what, but
Maybe we write a letter to the select board and the town administrator, expressing our concerns in regards to that, and suggest and request that they make the change that we can do public record requests without charge.
Well, it's more than just public records request without charge. It's being more a full understanding of what our job actually is. I had a conversation with the town administrator right after he first started. So to be fair, it was right after he first started.
Right.
So, things may have changed. I don't know. But his expressed viewpoint to me was that we're only responsible for the budget. And I want to make sure that we have the authority to look at all parts of the finances in town, that we can ask those questions with legitimate authority. Because what I had said to him was, well, when you look at the best practices that are coming out from the MMA, right, it is, we are the financial watchdog. And he went, oh, that's just best practices. That's the MMA. So I want to make sure that in the bylaw, we have the authority to do what it is we really feel we need to do. And in my opinion, that is being able to ask the questions about, why are we spending money on this? Why are we spending money on that? How is the budget coming? From the standpoint of, yes, we're starting to get the reports now, which is awesome. But, there are questions in here. It's like, I've got a laundry list of questions that I'm trying to make fairly short, because I want to make good use of everybody, town employees' time. So that's.
And I agree with you, Liz. I had asked some questions in the past and also received some pushback. And also in regards to James, we need to be looking at the bigger picture, not specific things. And I agree. I was under the impression that we were kind of the watchdogs in regards to finances in town. So I'd like some clarification on that also.
I think for like the best use of town employees' time is like to compile like maybe bi-weekly or once a month or whatever, like questions, and then we put forth to wherever, like rather than like 1,000 emails, like, oh, I found this, oh, and I found that, and I found that, to either the department heads or directly through the town administrator, like just one massive, like, this is we've looked through this period of time and we have these questions. And then that will give an opportunity for the people who could answer them to answer them the best.
And I think it would be beneficial for us to see the warrants that are signed off on weekly also.
I think we can. I think they're in the office. I believe I did ask James about that, and he said that they were available for viewing. So that's something you're interested in. But like I said, if you look on the Westminster, they have the access to look at, they have literally on their bylaw what their duty is. And I don't know that I really see that in ours, like what exactly, it's very blurry. It's like, well, you get access to the warrant and you need to make your recommendations for town meeting, but like, is that it? Is that all we do? If that's all we do, then we can show up twice a year. I mean, honestly, like.
Right. And that was basically the pushback that I got.
Yeah.
What was, well, it says this.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, well, it was recently changed. And at one point it was much more encompassing. And I would really like to go back to more encompassing. So that way, anybody who's sitting in any of those roles understands that in the town of Templeton, advisory is the financial watchdog. However we want to phrase that, however we want to put that to make it explicitly clear, you know.
Yes,
Yeah, I've kind of backed off because of the response that I received in the pushback.
yes, you know, we're not elected officials or,
Mhm.
but I do think that, you know, our concerns should be looked at, and
Mhm.
if they're poo-pooed, then they're poo-pooed, but I would just like to see more feedback, from, like, we sent out, I don't even know how many, because I typed a bunch of them up, recommendations, and then they just kind of sat stagnant, or they were circular filed.
And that's why today I sent you the second request.
Yep.
I hate to do it like that. I think that it comes across a little abrasive, but in the same aspect, like you said, they were sent out months ago,
They're still fine.
recommendations. And it's important that they're acted on and not sit in stagnant.
Yeah, July, we really hammered out a bunch of recommendations then, and haven't heard anything about it. And I understand it was like a transition period for the town, but now we're kind of like getting into it. So I think we could just figure out a way to make it a little more black and white and what our responsibilities are, because like I said, the way it reads now, we should show up for 2 meetings and take the rest off.
Mhm.
And Noel, you've been on it for a long time, so what's your insights?
I look at the, the bylaws as targets, targets. We're a recommending body, and unfortunately, whoever is the chair of the Board of Selectmen, they can either act on our recommendations by voting for them or voting against them, or the chair has the authority to just just sit on the recommendations and do nothing, which appears to have happened more often than usual. But on the other hand, I respect whoever is the chair of the select board, because they should be they should have the leeway to do essentially what they would like to do. I think if we have to make a second request or a third request, that's what we have to do. We do it, and we can also, if it reaches a certain point, we can also show up and ask for an agenda item with the select board and say, "Hey, we made 10 recommendations in the past 6 months. You've acted on 2 of them. There's 8 of them left. What are you going to do about the other 8?" We have the right to do that as well. We can be placed on the agenda just like any other citizen or department head or the town administrator. So, that's certainly an option that we have.
And as we move forward, if need be, I don't have a problem with making a comment, doing public comment for the select board meeting, going, hey, we've sent stuff, but I'm trying to keep that
Mhm.
line,
Yeah, it's a difficult line to be on, and I respect that. You want to say something, and you certainly can as a private citizen, but
I don't want to.
perception is everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm coming for you, Bennett. No, I'm just kidding.
I get myself in enough trouble. Thank you.
The only other suggestion, Madam Chair, is we have 10 comparison towns with 10 sets of bylaws, and they're probably all over the place.
Right.
And I remember what one former chair said, that as chair, they had no problem with cutting and pasting, the best of different bylaws. And maybe down the road, that's the best approach to take, is to look at, several sets of bylaws of comparable towns. And
Yeah, it seems like every town has like something different. Like not everybody has an advisory committee, and some have like just a finance committee, and like where's the differential between, like, does the advisory committee meet more often, have more things that they put out, or the finance committee meets like just at budget time, or like, a couple other times. It's so that was something else I was trying to figure out and look into. And I do know that the MMA dues were not paid. And I emailed the woman, and she said that if we pay our dues, that they would send out, they edited the book in October. There's a new, their financial guideline, whatever book. So maybe when that's paid for and the book comes, we can peruse through that and see what
also,
we like or what we don't like.
Also, to the chair, there was a gentleman in the town of Arlington who has been behind the production of the books. And, for many, many years, and is really, an expert on best practices, and, perhaps we can reach out to that person for assistance. I do think we should follow best practices.
Yep.
And, the existing policies probably don't follow all the best practices.
Times have changed.
Well, let's look at Arlington, see how he does best practices. But
Arlington does other things that are interesting, like they have automatic Prop 2.5 overrides every 3 or 4 years, which I've actually talked with your husband and different people about it, and it seems to work for them. So they do some unique things, and it's probably because of this gentleman who was been writing the book, so to speak, on the policies.
All right, anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I'll look into other towns' bylaws and I'll draft something up.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. The next item is the review of the upcoming dates for meetings and joint meetings. Nowell set a calendar back in July, right? Yeah, with Kelsey when she was working, and I tried to look and see, now that we know when Budget Saturday is and when we in the meeting next Thursday with the school committee. The only meeting I wasn't sure of the date of was there's a joint meeting here with the select board, and then both Monty Tech and NRSD will do their budget presentations. I don't know the date for that. It was on a select board night, so I don't know if it's gonna be the same this year or not. So I just wanted everybody to review your calendar for the next 6 months. And if any of those dates don't work, please let me know. I also tried to book our pre-town meeting. It's in there as well.
When is
And-
the joint meeting?
The joint meeting is next Thursday, the one that's at the Kiva in the high school,
Okay, I have that one, the 5th.
the 5th. Yeah, it's at 5:30.
And then what's the other?
Then there's Budget Saturday, which is March. These are all meetings. March 7th, I want to say. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. So I have February 5th at 5:30 in the Kiva. February 26th would be our regular business meeting here at 6:30. March 7th is Budget Saturday. It's 8:30 here.
8:30 in the morning?
Yep.
and it's a full
So good, bring your comfy cushion
Okay.
and a snack.
and lots of snacks and lots of drinks and your sanity. March 16th is a tentative NRSD budget presentation. I guess I did have that, but nobody really could confirm or deny that, so that's really questionable. So then that puts me, I was gonna cancel our regular business meeting for March because as much as we all love each other, like let's just take off. We don't need to have regular business after that because we'll still be in it. And I was gonna move April's regular business meeting up a week to the 16th.
So March 23rd we're taking off.
26th, we were
Yeah,
gonna cancel.
March 26th.
I was gonna move April's meeting to the 16th, so it's during school vacation, because school vacation, I think, is the 23rd, and it also kind of just looked a little better on the calendar. Move May 7th to the 4th for pre-town. Because if it was on the 7th, it's really a short amount of time for for the clerk to get the clerk stuff done. And then move the June 25th regular to June 4th as our last regular business meeting for fiscal year 26.
So June 4th.
Yep.
You may
It
want
look-
to rethink that because in the past,
This have to
The
be
end.
transfers. So
Mhm.
that's usually during a select board meeting. This was just our regular business meeting for us.
okay,
As our last fiscal regular business meeting and then there'll be a joint meeting sometime at the end of June, right?
yes,
Last year we had a regular business meeting and the joint meeting. 2 in June.
right, and you could probably, I know you're gonna have to have a joint meeting because there's always
Yeah, there's always
transfers.
transfers, and that's usually like at the end of the month.
Yes, And that is really an important meeting because we have to vote on the transfers.
Right.
As well, the more important things that we do.
Right. But I thought we could squeeze one regular business meeting, because I think we're gonna probably just take most of December off. That's what we've done in the past. Yeah, July and August
Yeah.
have not been advisory meetings because it's, yeah.
So is with the change in dates, is that work with?
The calendar looked good. I looked on the calendar. I just have to check with TCTV
Okay,
for all those dates. I will reach out once, as long as that looked okay. I spent a long time because I was like, oh, if we do this, then I was like, oh, this, and I was like trying to count to like space it out, and I was like, oh yeah, nobody's meeting extra in March. So I tried to like, evenly space it where we weren't on top of having so many things. I remember last year it was like we had a regular business meeting. I think you canceled our regular business meeting for March because it was supposed to be like the day after the school presentation. And Noel was like, we've already been here like for so many hours. We don't have anything else to talk about. So
The tricky meeting is the pre-town, the May pre-town.
Yes,
meeting,
yeah.
because you only have so many days.
so many days, and you don't want to, yeah.
And there's holidays in there, or last year there were holidays.
Yeah, I looked to see when the last select board meeting was to try to time it. But then, the calendar, there's also other boards meeting in here. So unless we take precedent and tell them too bad, so sad, which I'm not sure that works that way. That's why I thought.
You can always revise the policies to create a 10-day work week.
I mean,
I
I think that's within the best practices.
oh yeah, that was number 9. There'll likely be a joint select board advisory meeting sometime in June to approve year-end transfers. See, I knew I wrote that somewhere. All right. It's in the packet.
I'm good with it. I mean, it's far enough out that just block.
I like to know as far as humanly possible, because that's just, I'm sure April does too. She's got a lot of things and trips and kids and things. And so the more notice, the better. And it seems like the calendar could fill up in this room. So you want to make sure that you get
Booked first.
booked in and penciled in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why Noel booked out the whole calendar before, but you had no idea when anything even was. So you were just,
No, but
That's what
I
it
found that trying to get a day for TCTV other than Thursdays seems to have been problematic, so.
yes, I
Thursday.
think all of the days are Thursdays except for pre-town, which might have been a Wednesday or a Monday, because I think if Thursday is, it's just gonna have to happen because it's pre-town meeting, like it's just,
No.
Thursday's not enough days. Right? Because then I had to go home and type all that out last time to make sure it was like here in time, and I don't want to have to put that on somebody. Right. Be good for that?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want, a motion?
No,
Or are you good?
just browse, like look at it, and then look if you're like, oh, this doesn't look good, or let me know. Like I said, I spent a long time trying to piecemeal on that calendar online.
First glance, it looks good as long as you stay away from the 3rd week in September. Family wedding.
All right. Well, let me know. I'll think about that in July, or whoever is the chair. Maybe I won't even be the chair by then. Who knows?
Chair by then.
Yeah, you'll be the chair.
Moving on to item 6C, November BvA. Looks like Liz has some things highlighted.
I skipped over November, went straight to
Okay.
December.
Do we need to really talk about November, Noel? No?
I would say we just,
Scrap that? Do we need a motion to scrap that?
just vote to table it
Okay.
permanently.
And I entertain a motion to table the November PVA forever. BvA forever.
Second that.
Well, for 2025.
For 2025, yes.
Yes.
So November 2025 BvA to table it till the end of time.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we should have somebody other than the chair to
Yeah.
make the motion.
Who makes-
I'll make it, so moved. So
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Are you seconding that?
Yes, I'll second that.
All right. Any other discussions? No? April, how do you vote?
Yes.
No?
Yes,
Liz?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Okay, moving on to 6D, review of the December BvA.
All right. So, if I may.
Yep.
Okay. I want to start, where do I want to start? Okay, so we're 50% of the way through the fiscal year. So I I took a quick look, I just looked at the expenditure ledger, quite frankly, at the beginning. And I've got a bunch of, I want to say general questions, right? And I'm trying to figure out how to make this as efficient as possible. Because, we have a consistent thing of purchase of services for like selectmen, town accountants, the assessor, the treasurer, they're all significantly below 50%. And that is perfectly okay if they're not spending the money, awesome. But I'm just looking at it going, if we were doing just a straight across, we should be roughly 50% through most of the expenses, unless there's something.
It may be like a certain month where the expenses, there's an uptick because of a meeting or
Yeah.
something like that. So I wouldn't balance look at the fluctuation in the budget in that regard.
So that was some of the things, but then, it's like you got the assessor, which is sitting at 90%, which I think is right for what they have to do so far. But then we have the treasurer collector sitting at 0 for purchase of services, and it's a general comment on where we are in the year. My bigger concern is that, like, looking at recreation, the services, they've overspent by almost 8%. So that I would really like, and it's on page 4 of the expenditure ledger. And it's the rec services. This overall within, I'll say, all of recreation services, they're sitting at almost 55%, which isn't bad, but they were 50% of the way through the year and they're already at 107% spent.
Do you have any idea as to what the specific expense may be? Was it perhaps an emergency type?
I would like to ask the question as
Yeah.
why are we sitting at 50% of the way through the year and we're already over budget? So that's the first one. And then I hop right into the special articles, and there's things going back to 2024, right, that haven't been spent at all. So example, and I'm on page 4, bottom of page 4, and 2024 DPW software work orders asset management, right? There's roughly $8,500. None of it's been spent. The town electrical panel, 2,500, nothing's been spent. The tanker truck, it's only $756, but Royalston Road appraisal work is $65,000.
That's coming.
That's coming?
I
Okay.
saw that
All right, that one's okay.
during one of the select board meetings. I believe that Bob did discuss that, and that is going to be taking place.
Then we have the police cruiser for also 2024 is $2,700. The DPW Main Street Bridge is 16,000 roughly. Buildings and ground, Ballinville School caretaking is $4,000. We should be able to take that off at this point because we no longer own that building. The scholarship, I don't know if the scholarship committee's been meeting or not, so there's money sitting in the scholarship going back a little bit. The hazard mitigation in 2024 is $2,500. The assessment reevaluation, I know they put money aside, so I know they do that every year. The firefighter equipment, 22,500. This is now from 2025. But so we just have, so the general question is, what are we doing with the special articles in general terms? But those are the ones that really stuck out the most to me. And then you have some going back to 2019, 2021, and 2023 again. That, I mean, there's money that's sitting there and
Should be returned.
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know what the proper process is for returning them or what needs to happen, but I'm just,
One of the things that what we have done in the past is, we have made a request in writing to the town administrator saying, return it to the general, this appears to be needed to return to the general fund, or, it's hanging out there for a long time. And, there has been a response to, put that into the general fund, or an explanation that, we need to wait another year.
Yeah.
So,
I think that we should be putting it back to the general funds if it's not spent within that fiscal year.
it needs to be addressed somehow.
I know one item, I think, one item that you highlighted was the town hall electrical work. And I think that was actually done a couple of years ago, so I don't know why that would be hanging out.
How much was that budgeted for?
This is $8. Is there $8 left in that? I can't.
No, there's.
I'm the wrong, I need like a.
So I'm looking at the one dated January 20th, the version dated January 20th this year. Right, and the electrical panel is $2,529.95.
Doesn't look like anything was paid out on that.
Well, originally, I believe the electrical panel work was something like $8,500 and spent.
But like, why do we have like 2000, like the 2022 electrical town hall panel, $8? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be gone. But the 25, 29, 95, that should be gone too.
Yeah.
Because I think that was expended, or at least there should be an explanation.
Right.
So that was a concern of mine in looking at these, and I briefly discussed it with you, Liz. Some of these things, are they broken up? And I hope this is not the case, but are they broken up because the dollar amounts go above the $10,000 threshold and we're trying to avoid having it go out to bid?
No,
Are these payments being?
no, that's not an issue. It just hangs on the books.
Okay.
A lot of it just hangs on the books. Is that money is appropriated, say in 2024, it's expended in 2025, all, but 10% or some figure, and then it just hangs on the books until either us or the town administrator or the select board, asks to be taken off the books.
All right, I just want to make sure that we're being invoiced in full for each.
I believe that is the case. I understand your concern about, bid splitting. I don't think that's occurring. But it's certainly, one of the questions that we can ask.
So to try to keep it simple, my ask is that the town administrator and the town accountants evaluate everything under special articles.
Okay.
To keep it really simple, but this is the reason why. is
Yeah, I
what
think
explained.
that's a great way to frame the question is, here's this section, please look at, all the individual items.
Yeah. And then they can decide what
Right.
is appropriate to go do with it. So, yeah, because it just goes on and on, throughout that whole section. My next set of questions is, so I'm on page 6. Same file. And, so we've got the sale of real estate fund, right, which was for the 400,000 and it's sitting there. Does anybody know what's gonna happen with that 400,000? That's from the sale of the old Ballinville Elementary. And it's just sitting there, so I just don't know what's happening with it, right?
Again, I think that needs to be transferred back into the general.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna sit there for a few months,
Yeah.
and it's probably a little bit premature. Because that money,
Or we get,
this is the first time I've seen it, but it shouldn't sit more than a few months.
well, the other thing is with some of this money, it could be put into specific accounts or financial, accounts, and we can be getting interest off of those things. So I just want to make sure that the stuff that's hanging out there, we're getting some getting this bang for a buck.
Yeah, I think with the real estate fund, if that sits beyond the May town meeting, then, we really should pursue it at that time. I think what you're seeing is there was a transaction made and it's,
Mhm.
sitting temporarily on the books. But it's a big sum of money for
Yeah, for our town.
for our town, our total budget. And, it really needs to be
And
addressed.
as I go down, the drape restoration, which is near the bottom of page 6, there's $705 sitting in there. I believe that's the historical societies, and it's done. They completed the work, so we've got money there. We've got
Well, that's community preservation fund money, so it may go
Okay.
back in the community preservation fund as opposed to the town general fund.
Okay, thank you. See, all right. And that's
That is, I do agree with you that it's old and
the opioid stabilization, and I'm down at the bottom of page 7. I thought that money had been moved into, there's an organization the town is contracted with,
Yeah.
the opioid, but
I believe it's Mark.
we still have it, and I don't know why.
I think I would characterize that as a timing issue.
Okay. I'm learning.
Yeah, no,
And
one of the problems with that, one of the current members of the select board 3 years ago had raised that issue when he was wondering about the use of it, and it came onto the books at the end of one fiscal year, and then it carried over into the next fiscal year before it was the money was shipped off to Mark. And again, this is a timing type of issue.
And do you, I may ask the question, do you know how money moves out of the different gift funds? Is it specific by the fund? Because I'm on page 8, and we've got donations for fire and EMS, COA, library, recreation, police, so on and so forth, right? And I'm just trying to figure out how those funds get used, I'm not looking to move them in someplace. I'm just, because there's gifts for specific things, but
Right, and we have to be careful, like the library, for example, the library has a board of trustees which would oversee, those funds. So there may be a separate board or another layer.
Some of it's being used for the renovations.
Yes,
When were these funds received? Because I don't recall any of the department heads coming before the select board to accept the donations of these funds.
The library and the police were many, many, many years ago.
Okay.
but because you've got in rec, I'm sure I'm on the right line,
direct
1,200,
donation.
right? But $25 came out of there. At some point, we've got a police gift of $19,000, roughly. We have, what else do we have? We've got fire and EMS, almost $7,000. COA, 18 grand. So I'm seeing these sitting here and I'm just going, okay. What do we do with the funds? Not from a, first of all, are we getting interest off of the funds, right?
Wouldn't that be
they-
wonderful?
Hmm?
Could they? That'd be wonderful if they can, if that's.
Yeah,
I think it's there's layers. So I'm sure some of these funds, they could be turned over to the general fund, but there are other funds that there's a board involved, like for the library. So then the question becomes, if there's a board, for the library, and just using that as an example, are they properly spending the money? Or is it just, or are they just holding on to it?
Well, that's the question. It's
Right,
not, it's
right.
not whether they're misusing the money. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is they have money sitting here. Do they have a plan for usage of that funds? Or, are they waiting until they have certain amount of money to be able to go do a specific project, right?
Or maybe the repairs. I think Jackie,
Yeah.
might know a little bit more
Well, the
about.
library, yeah, is using stuff for the massive renovation that's happening soon, hopefully.
But you bring up a very good point. And the very good point is that when you add up all these different monies, there's all these different buckets. And when you add it up, I added it up one day. I think the buckets added up to over $2 million.
That's a lot of interest.
And so when you look at that, yes, it is a lot of interest. And so there's questions of interest and there's questions of, do we really need that many buckets? That's a legitimate question. And just the overall amount, when you have an $11 million budget and yet $2 million of it is encumbered. And we have other needs.
Well, but we don't know though either, like if there's stipulations on the gift, like the gift that was given, like here's $20,000, but you can only use it for A, B, and C.
Right. Right. It gets complicated.
There's your layers.
But there's a lot of money in the custody of the town. And what your question is that the best use of it? And I share that. I do share that. Is that the best use, or how much could really be turned over to the general fund?
Well,
So those
I'm not even talking about turning it over to the general fund for these gifts. What I'm more, can somebody do a review of all of these gifts? Right, so again, I'm trying to keep this as generic as possible. Review of these gifts and is there a plan for them? And can we logically pull them together to be able to put them in an interest-bearing account or something, just to make sure we have.
I would suggest
Yes, sir.
the state auditor is, one of the warrant articles last year was for the state auditor's office to do a forensic audit, which the town really needs, because I have this problem. And I've spoken with Mr. Toth about this issue in the past. There's all this money out there, and I get the sense when I look at these reports over and over again, is there more money, somewhere?
There is.
Not that it's being, misallocated. I'm not suggesting that, but just
It's feeling down.
and one of the reasons why I supported the state auditor's office, going through doing a forensic audit is, to answer these questions, because I think when you do the forensic audit, which if you had to pay for it, privately, it would probably cost the town $100,000, to do it. And
Didn't we vote for one?
we did vote for one. Yeah, the fee is $12,000, but I think the $12,000 fee is money that's very well spent. Because I just have the feeling that there is just some money out there that is not being accounted for. It's just from looking at these sheets over and over again. And there's others that share, my point of view. And I think that that's probably the best way long term. I mean, if you have a proposal short term, I would certainly support that. But I think long term, the forensic audit to be done hopefully soon, by the state auditor, hopefully would uncover all these things, and in their list of recommendations, those items would be covered.
My short term is, can we know how the funds can be spent, right? And second, if there isn't a plan to spend them, and I'm not, can we gain as much interest as we can off of these things. Because I know if they're little amounts, they may not, I don't know, may not be sitting someplace where we can get interest off of them.
Right.
You know, and that's really,
Well, when you look at the $2 million total of
Yeah.
this, this money, the town can only invest in, standard like CDs and the like, so your return's gonna be 5%. But having said that, 5%, it's probably a couple $100,000 on $2 million. So the question should be, as you said, is the town investing that money and getting as much of that $200,000 return,
Mhm.
as possible?
so that's the question.
Now, who approves movement in regards to these donation funds?
Who
Who approves the movement, like as to what's spent and where?
probably depends on it.
Yeah, it depends. It could be the board, the board of trustees that overlooks a particular fund, or, it could be the select board and town administrator.
Department heads?
No, I think, I would think it would have to be budgeted somehow.
Is it?
I don't know.
It's a good.
I'm a guess. Yeah, I'm guessing.
good
We should be
question.
looking at that when it comes to their budgets.
And then the second part, I think is also that it doesn't tend to always happen, is that when a donation is made, the select board is the body, no matter where it comes in, it's my understanding, and somebody out there can tell me I'm wrong, but is that the select board has to accept whatever that donation is.
And that was my point earlier.
Yeah. Yes, they do have to accept it. But the problem is, once they accept it, then what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that, the select board, they got a million different things to do, and it's very hard for them to track it.
Mhm.
And I think that, I think that is where there is a hole in the town finances, so to speak, is, what happens after the money is accepted.
maybe we can ask that the select board look at updating their financial policy to cover gifts specifically.
Well, maybe we should look at that.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm taking all the time, but
Oh, that's fine.
top of page 10 is the same report is the police vest grant. There's $1,764.16 sitting in there. No activity all year, zero variance. Why wasn't any of that money spent?
So there was a grant for the police vest that they didn't have the money for, that they came to us for?
Yes, that
Oh,
one.
That's nice.
I would like to know why that money was not used specifically.
I suspect that, I know that the light department is paying for the vests, which are contractually obligated under the union contract. I think the question should be, is that $1,700 going to be going to a pot to pay for the expenditure of vests, which is about $20,000?
They've already purchased the vests. They're, I think they're in. Or
Yeah,
were
they
in.
are. There.
They are in, all right? So the 1764 should have floored the 20,000. I'll publicly say the way everything went down was rather surprising to me. I'll leave it at that. But there's money sitting there. Why aren't we,
Well, I think the legitimate question is, the light department decided to, help the town out with the payment for the vests. But there's still that money.
Yeah.
And why is it just sitting there?
Yeah.
And that's a legitimate question.
and that's
I like to know that. It may be a simple, we're going to expend it, or we're gonna wait for another round of vests, or it should go to the general fund.
yeah, but it's a grant. So I would think the grant could only be used
Very specifically,
for vests. That is my guess. It is only a guess.
Yeah,
Um,
usually grants like that are very specific.
Yeah. Then we've got, I'm down on the bottom of page 11. Hazard mitigation. It has a negative 18, roughly 18,000 starting. It still has a negative 18,000. I don't understand why it's a negative number. There may be a completely legitimate reason for it, but I don't know what that is. Next one, near the bottom of page 12, ARPA police support and equipment. They've spent roughly 85,000 of it. There's still $14,000 left in there. And I know ARPA was, you had to be very specific upon what you could use the funds for, and they needed to be under an agreement or contract, but we still have $14,000 sitting in there. And at some point, if we don't close out these ARPA funds, we have to give money
forfeit them.
back.
Yeah.
We have to give money back.
forfeited.
So,
I think that's the question is,
Yeah.
is this money in danger of being forfeited?
good way of putting it.
Where was that?
Page 12. Yeah, 3/4 of the way down, page 12, under the ARPA section. And I think,
Sorry, but
no problem.
I got it.
Okay, that was it to my questions.
I appreciate it. I wrote them down, I think, all of them.
So
I'm trying to find some answers.
I tried not to be too nitpicky, but was it?
Right.
So police support and equipment. 86,129.52 went to them, leaving a balance of 14,208.51.
Yeah.
So why didn't the police best fund money come out of there?
Because the ARPA is pretty specific,
Yeah,
isn't it?
because ARPA is very specific. They would have had to have
Police support and equipment.
the money would have had to have been encumbered with specific vendors by a specific date. Is my understanding is how it worked. So they can't go now and do a new contract or whatever with somebody for something for that money.
Okay.
Is my understanding of how it works.
That's
But-
as well.
You know, again, it's like, why wasn't that used for the vests? So,
What was
but-
it used for exactly?
or what it could have been used for, but that was it to my questions. Next time we meet, I'll probably be going through January's longer list. But, okay.
Sounds good.
So Jackie, are you going to take that list of questions and approach the accountant and the town administrator in regards to that? Like,
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that
okay,
and seeing what comes out of it, and I can try to report back for a regular business meeting in February.
okay.
I could have a report.
Okay.
Um,
So those were just the questions that I had.
right. No, are we supposed to, didn't once upon a time we like approve the BVAs, or like, do we have to do that, or?
I think so.
Feel like I was watching old videos. I don't remember us doing it in a long time, so maybe we don't, I don't know. Just want to make sure I'm doing the right things here. Or not.
yeah, I don't think, we have to approve or not approve of them. We did a review, very extensive, review with the assistance of Liz, and
That's it, okay.
we have a set of questions to ask the town administrator and the town accountant. And, hopefully they respond.
Yeah, I'll let you know what I come up with. All right, anything
Okay.
else? Any other discussions on that? All right, moving on to number 7, old business review of the advisory committee policies. The 5 of them, it was tabled from November. The only thing that was on there was it said April has volunteered to look at them. I gave her the copies I had. There's 5 of them, I think. Yeah. So I don't know if you had anything that like jumped out at you. I'm pretty sure that forms that we actively use those forms between the for transfers. You did note select persons to be select board. Is there anything else?
Not,
But I mean, we reinvent the wheel on it.
no, yeah, no, I think we're pretty good. The only other thing is that on the policies, it says we have to review them
Every 3 years.
every 3 years or something. We're a little
We're
late.
very behind.
Yeah.
That's
Little
why,
late.
that's why I found them when I was looking through the website. I was like, oh, we didn't do
So-
this back
so-
in 2024.
Do you want me to update the select board instead
I
of
don't-
select persons? Or is that something that gets sent to somebody else?
I have to find the documents. That's my next thing. I just want to like, I wanted everybody to look at it and say like, this still looks great.
Okay,
3 more years. And then I have to find where the documents are. I don't know if they're on a computer somewhere here. That'll be on my list of things to do. If not, I can reach out because I'm pretty sure they were created by
Matt
Matt
Rivard.
Rivard, so I can reach out to him. Maybe he has them on a thumb drive somewhere.
Okay,
And then we can just simply edit the couple things and change the date and put them on the website and call it a day. Unless there's anything that jumps out at you, please let me know.
okay.
If not, I'm just gonna go through and change where it said select persons.
If I may, I would be inclined to not change them, right away. I think that process that you outlined is good.
So I'll look at them. I'll let you know. My suggested
Yeah.
changes. And if you want me to reach out to Matt in the interim.
Yeah,
And then if he does have it, if you can forward it to me, I can incorporate.
whatever it is. And then do they have to go in front of the select board to be reapproved because they're policies, or we just have to change the date?
I would say it needs to be approved. Cause.
We're
no
just
board-
changing a word, if we're just changing like a word.
Yeah,
that's
but
like-
it's overall, it's a town. I don't think that we have.
If you want, I could talk to Jeff. Jeff would know.
There are like,
Jeff would know if it had to go in front of the select board or if we can just change it on our own.
These are ours.
right, and they're
Right.
already there.
They're already there. They're ours. I'm of the belief that we don't.
I don't think it's appropriate that we make changes to our own policies.
The select board does it.
I'm not.
Well,
comfortable with
so
it.
you can look at it 2 ways. We're kind of an independent, board. But on the other hand, we should defer to the select board. And if you don't mind, I'd be glad to talk to Jeff.
That's fine. So I have been listening to some old meetings, and the like 2 meetings before I became a member, this was brought up because that's when it should have been brought up. And John Kaplis said that he was not comfortable because he doesn't make policies. And then it never like gets brought up again. Like it kind of just dies there. So I was like, well, I don't know if we're supposed to be doing, but it said it was supposed to be reviewed. I mean, what does it say? Rate. Revision number 1, next review date, October 31st, 2024, if revised before this date, 3 years from that revision date. So I kind of get the impression that like, we just revise it or not. I mean, I don't know. It's gray. If Noel wants to go investigate that.
Yeah, I'd like to talk. I'll talk to Jeff.
Cause they're, like Liz said, they're already there, they're already ours. If we're not like changing things drastically, like, giving us a $4 million raise. I mean, so,
Yeah.
like, we're literally changing a word here and a word there, cause that's
We're
a
not
typo.
changing the meaning or really the content. We are basically making edit.
Nobody's really approved it and reviewed it in that much detail. I may be.
Yeah.
Wanting to make those adjustments after my review.
Okay.
And I think,
Fair.
to April's point is, I think the best way to do it is to make the changes and then have the select board approve it.
And then someone can upload it to the website, cause that's where they are, is on
Yeah.
the town website under our little tab. All right,
And I think that gives deference to the select board, and I certainly will talk with Jeff about that if that's
Okay.
okay with everybody.
yeah, do we need to entertain a motion for that?
So moved.
Like, we need a motion for that, or we're just gonna talk about it another time? I mean, we retabling it?
Why not?
Okay.
I will make a motion to update our policy and procedures and draft a letter to the select board to approve the changes. and forward it to Jackie.
Works for me. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
All right.
Okay, could I just, have
Okay.
that again?
Yeah, Noel needs to write this down.
Oh,
Yeah,
you want me to say it again?
Yeah.
Now you're pushing it. It's late. I will make a motion to make the adjustments to our policies and procedures.
You will review them.
Yes, I will review them. I will make any adjustments I feel warranted. I will send them to Jackie for approval, along with a recommendation letter to the select board to approve.
To be signed by only me.
Yes.
Yes.
yeah,
Got it.
I got it.
The time's 7:30 if you need to write that down, because that's what I do when I do my notes.
Yeah, I'm,
So I can
I'm gonna look at the tape.
to
Yeah,
the video.
Gonna make the tape.
All right, and Liz seconds that.
I second it.
Still, all right, any other discussions?
No.
All right, April, how do you vote?
Yes.
Noel,
Yes,
Liz?
Yes.
I also vote yes. All right, I don't know what that is. Now we're on to B, discussion and possible recommendations concerning town purchasing policies, preferred vendor policies, and credit card policies from October 23rd, 2025 and November 20th, 2025, and probably other times that we talked about it too. And I couldn't remember. So I did ask about the credit card and the lines of credit, and there's only a couple things that have to be billed through credit card. And Mr. Ryan said that he tried really hard to get, like, you know, invoices and billing, but like one was the phone line and they would just not do that. So he said he's the only one who has access to the credit card. And as for the lines of credit, all that has to get approved through warrants and through the financial office, and then goes out to the select board. So that all has to be like above board and approved.
So you're telling me that we have that line of credit with Avashon hardware being used by one particular department. The select board members are approving the spending and use of that line of credit? They weren't unaware of it.
The Avashon line?
Yeah.
It has to go through Amber and be approved through those type of things. And he said that the warrants are available to be viewed at your leisure.
All right.
So we want to go and
I can now go look at them.
sit and hang out. You sure can.
Okay.
That's what I was told.
Okay.
I was
So
also,
who opened that line of credit? Like just anybody, any Joe Schmo from Idaho can go in and open up a line of credit in the
I didn't
town's name?
I didn't get that impression, but I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know how you would do that, but.
I think to open up a line of credit, it seems to me that there would have to be a vote of the select board.
There wasn't for the Galveston one.
They were not aware of it.
That's
So that was part of the concern,
yeah,
is when I was looking at all the different vendors on the vendor list, which we'll get, it was like, well, what is this? What is this? What is this? And all of these credit cards and the line of credit, all of those things should at least go through, you know, the financial team, right? Preferably through the select board when we're going to go do something like that. Because if we say, if the town says, oh yeah, any town manager, right, could open up a line of credit, yeah, that's problematic.
well, let me ask this, must be a limit on the line of credit?
It's actually a capital card, I believe, right? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It looked as though it was a credit card. So I reached out to all of the department heads requesting the information in regards to what they use for a credit card. And then I can't come to find out this line of credit with Avashon hardware was for the rec department that they use. So I don't know who opened it. I don't know who authorized it. I know that it came through looking like a credit card, so that's where we had like the Amex card, the Capital One card that I thought was a card, but it wasn't. It was actually the line of credit. From my impression, anything, any expenses or purchases being made are supposed to be approved and done with the one Amex card. I don't necessarily agree with the line of credit. I think it doesn't follow our purchasing policy. And I really think that that's something that the select board needs to look into. Have we sent a recommendation letter to them in regards to the line of credit with options?
I don't think
I
we
don't
did.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think we have.
Well, I do not mind drafting one up. But I think that we need to look at that a little closer and make sure that it falls within our purchasing policy.
Is the line of credit is through Capital One, is that the only way to do business with Aubuchon with extended credit?
No,
I guess what I don't understand is why Aubuchon is not sending a paper bill to the town with net 30-day terms or, some open terms.
Because certain individuals thought it was easier to do it this way. As opposed to doing because it's like originally when started asking questions about the credit cards. Oh, the first answer I got was, oh, this is the only way the vendors will take it. It's like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. There should be a PO, there should be these other things. And, come to find out, oh yeah, most vendors will do the traditional PO statements payment and not have to use a credit card. It was, and the line of credit kind of functions, even though it's a line of credit, it functions like a credit card.
So I guess my question is, and I think you know the answer to it, is how many vendors, well, using Aubuchon as the example, is Aubuchon, I take it, will, if push comes to shove, is that they will issue an invoice with a purchase order number as opposed to a line of credit. Is that the case, or are they?
That's a question that they have to be asked. But the other part is why are they doing this to begin with? Because I am not saying anybody is doing anything wrong. I am not saying that. What I'm saying is it just opens up risk to the town. That a financial risk, in my opinion, that doesn't need to be there.
Well, I think that to close the window of risk is that you have a purchase order number,
but
terms, and then the town
it makes
pays.
sense. I think that it may have been done at a spur of a moment. They had an event going on, they needed something. The best way to go and get something rather quickly is to just scoot down there, put it on the line of credit after the event, take the funds, go pay it off. I don't know if that's what's happening. I'm just speculating. But regardless, the line of credit does not fall within our policy.
Well, I guess in that situation that you outline is, couldn't somebody present an Amex card?
Not if the town administrator has it and it's not available that day on Saturday when they have an event happening or something along those lines.
And people can be reimbursed too. That's the other part.
Right.
Yeah.
But to be reimbursed, they need to explain what it is, what they purchased, why they purchased it, and why they did it this way. And,
Yeah.
It adds paperwork. It adds a little stickiness, which I think is a good thing,
Well, sometimes the reimbursement takes a long time, and if someone puts it on their credit card, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know the financial
Yeah.
situations of everybody, and then like, who's paying the accrued interest on that? Like, oh, I bought all this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
not everybody's in
Yeah.
the best place to do that, but no, I get it and understand, but
Well, then the other question is, all right, say somebody puts money forward for an event, they do it on their own credit card, are they gonna get reimbursed within 30 days?
no.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have any experience with the town in that aspect to know.
It takes a long time.
Okay. Right, so,
Yeah, it is a multi-step process.
I think we just need to follow our policy.
I do
Yeah.
too. So what do we want to do? You're gonna do.
Make a motion to write a letter to the select board, making them aware of this line of credit with Aubuchon's, explaining to them that does not fall within our policy, purchasing policy, and request that they take action on it.
I'll second that.
Did you get that?
Yeah. Take a look at the tape, but I got it.
Did you get the time? It's 7:40.
Yeah, I got the time. I wrote, that's the first thing I did.
Any other discussions on this part of number B? No. April, how do you vote?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes,
I also vote yes. Right, what was the other thing? Preferred vendor policies.
we need to have one. We definitely need one. And it needs to be very specific. Here's my thought process, is that there should be an approved list of vendors, right? And that department heads shouldn't be able to just willy-nilly decide, oh, I'm gonna go buy this from this vendor versus that vendor because it's easier for me to do this one than that one. There needs to be some formal financial plans because, you know, you can get discounts if if a vendor knows you're going to spend $10,000-15,000, right? As opposed with them, you can get it. Different vendors provide different purchasing discounts versus, oh, I'm going to do this one here and this one here and this one here. I don't think it makes good financial sense to spread it out amongst different vendors and just pick whatever one you want whenever you feel like doing it, because that's currently what they get to do.
So who gets to pick though, like the vendors, like let's just say like,
I would take a list of who we've used in the last, 5 years. And then from there, start your list.
And you have preferred vendors. So maybe you have 5 different vendors that you have bought, I'll say uniforms for, maybe it's coats, maybe it's t-shirts, maybe it's whatever. And everybody agrees on 1 or 2 across the department heads. So that way you can get the bulk discounts, that we can get some of those savings. Because otherwise you end up with situations where, people decide to go out and buy $40 socks, just as an example.
$47.
$47 socks, right? That if it was from a preferred vendor, that may not have happened. So
that was questioned, and because it fell within their
clothing allowance?
there was really nothing that could be done.
No, because you're allowed to purchase, then you get $47 socks, you don't get, the matching tie. That's on you, like whatever, like.
well,
It's governed by a contract. So unless the contract is changed when it comes up for renegotiation,
I think there should be a reduction in their budget.
well, so here's the thing. I had a conversation with the TA about that subject. And I said, you're in the process of negotiating with this particular, union. I don't think it should be here's a lump sum amount of money. It is, you are allocated up to a lump sum amount of money, but you get X number of pants, X number of shirts, coat, jacket, whatever it is, right? And it's much more controlled. Now, does that add paperwork? Yes, but it also, I think, would alleviate $47 pairs of socks, and I just, because I went and I compared the contracts between across different towns, between police, fire, and DPW, right? They all have uniforming requirements. And the amount of money each union, union individual is allowed to spend was significantly different. Where it didn't, some of it did not make sense to me. And so we need to be very cost conscious. We need to be, yes, we need to take care of our people. Yes, we need to make sure they're properly clothed and uniformed and everything else. But we also need to do it in a cost conscious manner. I got pushback on it from the TA, saying, oh, well, some departments, some towns just do a check once a quarter or once a year for the full amount,
Yeah, that's
right?
Yeah, that's the common practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's
And-
common.
And if they want to go that way, I think the price tag should be significantly lower than it is. It's their clothing allowances, right? Yet we're paying, I can't remember what the number was, for a duffel bag. Why are we paying for a duffel bag?
Oh, don't forget the t-shirts.
Huh?
And t-shirts.
And t-shirts. Why are we paying for these things? So that's
I guess it comes down to the definition of clothing.
duffel bag. I want to see the individual put a duffel bag on and wear it as clothing. Yes, you can go ahead and put that out there. But that's what I
But
mean.
the other side of the coin is, it's a clothing accessory.
It's an accessory.
But
It's not,
part of a uniform.
it's not part of a uniform. And so I think, and some people make out, oh, you're just nickel and diming people. Well, nickels and dimes add up. And you have enough of that going across different departments in different ways. And it comes out to substantial amounts of money at the
And-
end of the day.
And that's where the review of what our responsibility is comes into play, because I too had those questions and I was told that I'm looking too deep into it and I just need to stay overall.
I don't understand why, like what Noel said, where a check just isn't cut and this is what you get. And if you buy a $47 pair of socks, you might not have money for your t-shirts, and that's it is what it is. Like, to have to submit every like penny of what you spend, like your clothing allowance is your clothing allowance, and that's it. And when it's gone, it's gone.
I don't think
But-
we should get one,
but-
quite frankly, so.
Preferred vendors covers not just clothing,
Yeah.
which is contractual and kind of different. But, we have, probably hundreds of vendors. I mean, we've got an $11 million budget and we've got hundreds of vendors. And what is the best way to go about creating a preferred vendor list?
I think honestly that we need to hire a purchasing agent for the town. And I think that's gonna save us the money in the long run.
But that is one of the duties of your town administrator, is to be a purchasing agent for the town.
I don't know about that.
The TA is responsible for the 30B contracting and purchasing. So, and somebody's got to be looking at this closer. I mean, you want to use a different example, office supplies. Why are we purchasing office supplies from 3 or 4 different vendors? That should
Sure.
be a single vendor. So that is an example where we could be saving money.
Where do you want to draft a recommendation to the select board
Sure.
to task the town administrator? I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well,
Um,
I like the idea of preferred vendors. I do, especially for major items. Uniforms, office supplies, that's kind of one threshold, but then when you look at heating oil, that's a completely different threshold.
And that is covered under it. I know the heating oil did
It's
go,
covered under bid.
it is under bids,
Yeah.
right? But then you have other things that may not be. I could be wrong with this, but like tires, batteries, I don't think they're under bids. Yet when you add them up, It's a,
$10,000.
it's more than $10,000. So. That's,
I guess in my mind is, who is going to create the preferred vendor list? Who is going to administer it? And, to April's point, the suggestion of a purchasing manager is, I like that idea, but as I see it, the town is too small to be big and too big to be small. So if you hire a purchasing manager between salary and benefits, that's $100,000. So then the question becomes, are you really going to save $100,000? Or you'd have to save $100,000 and then the $100,001, that's when you start to save. And I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're a big enough town.
Do you think it's too much of a task to ask the town administrator to review that or to?
I think he should review it. I think he should review it and determine whether there are preferred vendors. And I also think down the road, a purchasing agent, the town's growing. And I don't think we need one today, but
It may
certainly.
save us money.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, just because I know he's very busy right now, because we all will be getting budget books soon, that we wait until after he's done this budget thing.
I agree.
That's gotta happen.
Well, maybe this is a topic that would be a good time to bring it up, would be at the joint budget meeting where everybody makes their presentations. I think that is probably the time and place
Plant the seeds.
to,
Are you gonna be doing an agenda for that?
No, we sit at that table and all of the department heads come in and go through the entire budget book and everything that they. Yeah.
Do we get to review it beforehand?
yes. But what I like about that meeting is that we
Get to ask questions.
we have a unique opportunity to have a back and forth with the select board, about different issues that face the town. And one of them is that we should have on our punch list, to discuss is preferred vendors, or whether or not to have a purchasing agent, or whether or not to have an IT person, or whether or not to have a planner. I've talked with.
Love to see a grant writer come back.
Right, I've talked with a couple of town officials about a planner, and the answer I get is, again, we're too small to be big, too big to be small. But I look at the town of Oakham with this battery plant, and if we had a planner, they're in a world of trouble over that. And I think that small towns like Templeton are really the dumping ground for things, business developments that are really not good, good overall for the town. And if you had a planner, you could prevent or shape that. We don't have a planner. So, but we're not big enough to have a planner either.
what does a planner do? What is, generally speaking, 2 sentences, what do they do?
Basically, I think the best way to put it is that they are a professional, full-time person, educated, and they advise the planning board as to best practices. But they also go out and get, get money, get money. The bigger towns have planners, and they,
I mean, are they planning for economic development? Are they planning for,
yes,
for,
it's primarily they are guiding the economic development of the town.
okay,
The idea, ideally, a planner would guide the economic development of the town in a positive way and get some money.
okay.
But like the purchaser, you'd have to, between the salary and the benefits is $100,000. So.
But we may save that, you know what I mean, in purchasing and the IT.
Right, we may not. It's.
And I think that's very important. I would like to see, so we have like, the DPW using one system, police department using another system, town offices using another system. If we had one system where they all communicated with one another, I
Saving
think
some money.
we'd be saving a lot of money and time because people can just go in and get what they need. in regards to the different departments.
There are that does a whole project on its own, is looking at, there's certain departments do have very specialized software that they need,
Yeah.
and others don't. It's like the civics software, right? It has a lot of good things in there that last year we chose not to do, the town chose not to do, right? And it is something that probably should be looked at. And can that, using one vendor, help us be able to be more efficient, be more, communicative with
Well, I'm concerned where
taxpayers and everything else.
Haywood was hacked. The Littleton Light and Water Department, they had issues where a hacker got into them. I think that we need to be proactive because heaven forbid.
But the other side of the coin is Hayward got hacked and they had a full-time IT person, an IT team, so.
I mean, for cybersecurity, the best thing to do with a town like us is to actually outsource it to a company that specializes in cybersecurity, where they put in place all the policies, they ensure that everything is up to date. They will come in, and if you do have an event, they will come in and help fix it, help to mitigate it. There's insurance policies that you can get to deal with this. There's they can even set up training for all the employees, so that way you're more apt to, you get an email coming in that says, hey, please pay this invoice, right? And some people will automatically just click on the invoice, open it up, and whoop, there you go. Just let,
But the other, being devil's advocate is you still have to have somebody within the town informed, able to pick the
You
right
do.
vendor, because there's good vendors and bad vendors.
yeah,
and,
you do.
So maybe that's a conversation that we have at the joint meeting.
I think it'd be a very good conversation to have, because I think we need an IT person, a purchasing person, a grant writer,
And
and a planner. I mean, we need those four people. It's a question of whether we're big enough.
right,
So
and then
we don't set the agenda for the joint meeting. It's the select board and we just come and
ask questions.
ask questions.
Okay, so select board.
You'll find the meeting very informative. You'll find it very informative, and the give and take between the department head and the select board and us, it's very educational. And these, certainly preferred vendors. I think we should have a list, a list of things to, talk with the select board and the department heads about, and certainly a planner and, an IT person and preferred vendors, should be on that list.
Yeah, there's so many places where I think, generally speaking, most departments could use additional, I'll say, employees, right? Yeah, there have been long conversations about fire and police and DPW to some extent, just that they're constantly short. The other departments probably could also use it. So, I'm back to my 5-year plan of saying, all right, select board, prioritize what you think is the most important, and then figure out how those important positions will be funded, which is, the second part of it.
And I think that'd be with our questions. I mean, we, I talked with Jacqueline about, the town administrator asked her to come up with a budget narrative for advisory, which, I don't recall doing that before. And
Blacked it out.
and the one item that we don't plan is, our reserve fund has been stuck at $50,000 as long as I can remember. And most of the times we don't have to use it, but I can very easily envision a situation where, you could plow through the $50,000 in the blink of an eye. And I really think that we don't have a plan, a 5-year plan, to raise that to $60,000 or $65,000. We don't have that, and we should. And the other departments don't really have a 5-year plan, and the town administrator doesn't
When was
really
the
have a
last time
5-year
we ever
plan.
dipped into those funds realistically?
a couple of years ago. We do it from time to time.
We probably will be this year, because the Scout Hall fire, they're
The deductible.
deductible for the insurance company. That's an emergency. That's one of our policies, actually, in that packet is what the reserve fund is used for.
And the other thing that's come up, really, it seems like pipes break at the end of the fiscal year, and there's no money, so we're asked to vote on that, something like that. But just a year ago, we had the $65,000 IRS fine, which would have not only wiped out the reserve fund, but you'd be $15,000 in the hole. Luckily, town council was able to persuade the IRS to get rid of that. But, that was like a one unexpected event. And it seems like every couple of years we have that one unexpected event. And you really should have more than $50,000. In an ideal world, it probably should be 90 to 100,000, but it's been stuck at 50,000 for, several years now, probably a decade. And, we really should try on a systematic basis to raise that.
Okay.
But Liz is right, is that we don't have 5-year plans, and we really should have 5-year plans. And I don't think the present budget narratives really address that. And again, maybe that's on the punch list of one meeting.
So you're planning to talk to Mr. Bennett? Do you want to see do you feel put it on the budget Saturday to talk about those things? Because I don't
Sure.
think the agenda for that's on them, and he could say, no, we're already going to be here for 13 hours.
It's a free-flowing agenda. I mean, you as members can bring up, whatever you want as far as questions to the department head and, to the select board. It's really kind of free-flowing, which is what I like about it. It's really very constructive.
Just have to find the right time to slide those things in, I suppose.
Yeah, no, we should have a punch list, and I will certainly talk with Mr. Bennett.
I'd like to see a standard set of questions that each department head is asked by us. I mean, obviously there'll be other questions that each person would want to, but it's like, I want to know, do you have a 5-year budget plan? Does it include increases in personnel, and how many? And, the upcoming, what it took to get a 5-year capital plan from each department, and we didn't get them from everybody. It was not an easy process, even though it's been there in the bylaws for years.
Yeah.
So it's some of those standard questions that just need to be asked. And, what is being presented at that Saturday meeting? Is this really your budget, or is this what you've been told you get for a budget? Which is two different things. Because if you ask, you ask for, A, B, and C, right? It goes to the TA, and I'm not saying this TA, I'm just saying it goes to a TA, right? And the TA says you only get A.
Right.
You don't even get to talk about B and C. Nobody ever finds out about B and C.
I think we've gone off topic.
Yep.
Oh, I apologize. I'll be quiet.
Sorry.
All right, so there was a motion made, and so we just gonna leave the preferred vendor policy and talk about it, keep talking about it constructively through March and April.
In March at the joint meeting.
Yeah,
I think we definitely should talk about that at that time.
Make motion to table the preferred vendor policy to the March meeting.
I'll second it.
Any other questions, discussions, comments, concerns? None. April, how do you vote?
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
I'm also gonna say yes. And that puts us at 7C, discussion of draft recommendation for the Fernald School from Nowell from November 20th, 2025. Nowell. This one's from Nowell, and then there's the second one here that April sent me today.
Yeah, I thought April's
That
letter
Nowell
was
might be better.
I thought I was supposed
Fantastic.
to write it. I didn't mean to.
That's fine.
I just reviewed the meeting minutes, and it said that I was gonna draft a letter. So I did.
The only reason why I brought this up in the first place is that the select board really needs to write a letter to Governor Healy. And I feel very strongly about this because I'm just very concerned about the fact, and I've talked about this until I'm blue in the face, but there's hundreds of acres on the Fernald School grounds, which the state, it's state property and not town property. And affordable housing, the policies of our town is to support affordable housing. This is I don't look at it as a not in my backyard kind of thing, but I'm also very concerned about the governor basically at the stroke of a pen could use potentially hundreds of acres of land for affordable housing without any input from us. And I just think that there should be a dialogue between the town and the state over the notice given to the town, over the overall plans of the state as to how many acres of land are going to be used. And also, I think, we have 50 to 60 properties that could be turned into affordable housing if the state would just give us monies. I think a couple of $1 million would go a very, very long way. And it would put properties back on the tax rolls as affordable housing properties. And, there needs to be discussion about that. And what also bothers me is the fact that, using the example of day mill condominiums that came up, the town gets a notice that it gets first dibs at an affordable housing unit. And one came up for sale and the price, I believe, was it was between $350,000 and $400,000. And the town doesn't have that kind of money. So I think that the state should help us out because once that day mill property was sold, it's gone. You can't get it back as very fine affordable housing. So there just is not. I just feel that the governor is tone deaf to our needs, and we're just being left out in the cold as far as what decisions are being made, and they're not good decisions. And I think April's letter, it's very good. It's very good. The select board really needs to communicate with Governor Healy about this. I know that personally I've communicated this to our state senator, and he's talked, but we need to do something at the local level because we're going to get run over.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I went on, but to me, it's an important issue, and so I do like the letter, and I would certainly favor sending that to the select board in that form.
Can I make a motion that we accept
Absolutely.
the letter that
April
April
drafted?
drafted for the chair's signature?
Sounds good to me. For a second.
I would second that.
You want to just do some adjustments to like the layout?
Yep.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it did that.
We understand.
Make it look prettier.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Minor adjustments.
All right, any other discussions?
No.
Right, April, how do you vote?
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
I also say yes. Right, and that puts us on 7D, discussion, review and possible recommendation of amount of free cash for stabilization account from September 18th, 2025. There was a message from Amber. I reached out. She gave an update, a notification of free cash approval for the town of Templeton based upon the unaudited balance sheet submitted. I hereby certify that the amount of available funds or free cash as of July 1st, 2025 for the town of Templeton is the general fund will get $673. The enterprise fund sewer will get $161,464. The enterprise fund cable TV will get $24,026. The certification is in accordance with the provision of General Law, Chapter 59, Section 23, as amended. Certification letters will be emailed to the mayor, manager, board of selectmen, prudential committee, finance director, and treasurer immediately upon approval, provided an email address is reported in DLS local officials directory. So free cash has been certified. This was a no agenda item from back in September.
I think what I wanted to ask, Liz, with your work on the capital committee, what is the status of that?
So the capital committee reviewed, I'll say, requests coming through from various departments. Not all departments presented to the capital committee, and it took a little bit, but the department heads that did present did produce 5-year plans. I mean, they're really rough. There was a prioritized list of items, and that was submitted from the capital committee over to the select board. All right. And fully cognizant and understand these are recommendations only. And the select board has talked about it a bit about there's an understanding that there's more work that needs to be done for capital budgeting and how much money is actually out there, So I'm not sure if that's the update you're looking for. Is that what?
I think what I was looking for is, I know you prioritize the different different dollar amounts, but did you have any sense of what portion of the $559,000?
No.
No.
It really, I mean, I want to say 250,000 is the amount that I think we put forward. Don't me on that. I don't remember the actual number, but basically we just put everything in order.
Right.
And made recommendations, and there were some things where we recommended not to do it.
Right.
And a member of the select board, the following meeting, put it on the agenda.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I think it was a good process. I think it helped start setting the stage for trying to start doing 5-year plans across the board. And it was just, kind of insisting on, you need to do this. If you don't give us a 5-year plan, you're not getting anything. So we're not making any recommendation for you. That's all that committee could do.
Right. Right. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. So the general fund, 559,673. How can that be certified when we have funds that are questionable in our BVAs as to like whether they should be transferred into the general fund or sitting where they're currently at?
There's a process they go through. I can't describe the process, but they certified X amount of money, and this other money is just kind of sitting there. So and correct me if I'm wrong here, but my guess is that if we would then, if the finance team then turned around and moved that money into, let's say, the general fund, my guess is it would show up in next year's potential free cash. I think.
Okay.
Am I right with that? Or am I wrong? I may be wrong completely.
I guess the best way I can explain this is departments turn money in.
Mhm.
In the last 3 or 4 years, the most money that has been turned in is by Chief Dickey for the call ball account. He has to have X number of dollars to potentially pay volunteer firefighters to go to calls, but you don't know how many fires there will be and how many firefighters will show up. So I'm kind of plucking a number, but one number that comes to mind is that he returned $120,000 at the end of the year. I think that was the biggest amount of money that was returned. So there may or may not be, an amount of money returned this year. This free cash is, just what is there and hasn't been, allocated to anybody yet.
Okay. All right.
So the number will change. You'll change, the free cash amount, the 559 amount, it's unaudited, so it's going to change anyway. And then, as
So the
departments
one-
turn in money, there will be more monies. And, then the select board and town administrator have to, decide how the pie is going to be divided up.
Is there any recommendation?
This enterprise fund for the cable, did that cover their needs?
The 24,000, it comes nowhere near covering their needs. Nowhere near, because the number of subscribers goes down. It's going down. 3 or 4 years ago, it was well over $100,000, and now the subscribers, it appears to be just that amount, the $24,000. It appears to be that amount. So,
Okay,
there's a serious gap.
okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or recommendations or? No? Okay. Moving on to 7E. This was tabled from July 31st when Justice was here. They have an update on the assessor's overlay account. I reached out to him for an update and I thought it was in the packet, but I couldn't find it. So thankfully I brought another copy of it, but Justice says, since the presentation he made to the advisory committee in July, there isn't much to report because the assessors are still receiving various applications currently. The period for abatement applications does not end until after the close of business on February 2nd, 2026. And the board has 3 months to act on any applications received. The period for statutory exemption applications, blind, elderly, disabled veterans, does not end until after the close of business on April 1st, 2026. The Board of Assessors will likely not review the final balances on the overlay account for fiscal year 2026 until on or after their April monthly meeting, when we anticipate all the final applications will be acted upon, because at that point, we will have our final numbers for the fiscal year, and that is consistent with reviews taken in the past. To date, over $101,000 has been granted in exemptions by the board. On the fiscal year 2026 tax recap, $127,019.90 was raised for overlay. So he says there's nothing final on the overlay balances until after April. Questions? I cannot answer them, so I can email them.
We have him come in, during our April meeting to discuss that.
Well,
That's exactly what I was going to suggest. Just by way of an aside, I thought Justice's presentation last July was wonderful.
Very
He
educational.
doesn't,
Very
good.
he does an amazing job.
He does.
Anytime he's presented anything to the select board, I was really impressed with his knowledge.
That's great job.
I think sometime in April, that'd be a good time to.
It's probably one of our most undervalued employees of this town. All right, so where are we? I guess we're on number 8, member comments. People, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Liz, do you have any comments?
Do not.
No? Comments?
The only comment I would make is that The issue of payment in lieu of taxes is very much alive at the state level. We are not getting anywhere near as a town, anywhere near the amount that we should. And the example I've given before is Martha's Vineyard. They have 2,400 acres of land. We have 2,400 acres of land subject to payment in lieu of taxes. We get under $200,000, and Martha's Vineyard gets almost $1 million. And Governor Healy is in the process of appointing a commission to address this issue. That was last August, and the members of the commission have still not yet been appointed. But I will tell you that it's a very, very sore issue among the cities, the small towns that border the Quabbin, and also in Berkshire County, particularly the town of Monroe and the town of Savoy. You know, it's one of the things that in the next month or two, I'm probably going to have an item placed on the agenda to discuss this further. There's potentially, I think, if the pilot was administered properly, the town would be paid $300,000 to $500,000 more than we are presently, and that's not a small amount of money. So, you know, there will be something on the agenda in the next couple of months.
When I attended that MMA breakfast back in October, is it Comerford? She was very knowledgeable, and so maybe we could reach out to her and see if she has any inside scoop of what's going on with the committee and if there's any movement on that. She felt very strongly that we were not being properly paid for out in this part of the world.
I would make the additional suggestion, there are only two people, our representatives do what they can. And, you know, I don't want to throw them under the bus, but at the state level, the two officials who really, really look out for the cities and towns, the state auditor, Diana DiZoglio, who first made a report about the inequity for pilot. And that was after I met with her a couple of years ago and asked her to look into it. And she did. And Joanne Comerford is, she's a state senator from Northampton, and she has brought numerous pieces of legislation that are, if passed, would be of great benefit to the town of Templeton, not only on pilot, but there are other issues as well. And what I was going to suggest is I would like to invite her to come, you know, before our committee, because I think she would have very valuable insights.
Yeah.
If not her, then maybe a member of her staff.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
That's all I have. Probably too much, but
Right. I do not have any comments, so I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll second that.
I'll make the motion and you can
All right.
second it. Okay.
I jumped the gun. I'm a little excited.
April, tell us you want to go home without telling us you want to go home. There's no further discussion. I will say that we are adjourned at 8:23 p.m.
We have to vote on it, though.
Yeah, I guess we all have to vote. Nowell, how do you vote?
Yes.
April?